Hello witches, wizards and those who are yet to receive their Hogwarts letters, welcome to my Harry Potter kitchen. This is the YouTube series where I'm baking my way through the Harry Potter books, making recipes for all the food and drink featured inside. If you missed last week's recipe for our Christmas turkey sandwiches, then make sure you check out the link down below in the description to catch up. But it's Magic Monday, so let's see what Christmas treat is up next. There's always time for one more plate at Christmas. If you don't want to miss a thing from my Harry Potter kitchen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there is a brand new recipe. Speaking of which, let's get back to the story. Okay, as always, we don't have to look too far for our next recipe. After a tea of turkey sandwiches, crumpets, trifle, which we made earlier in the series, and Christmas cake, everyone felt too full and sleepy to do much before bed. Looks like we're making another cake. For this recipe, you will need 200 grams of dried mixed fruit, 100 grams of glace cherries, some spiced rum and some sherry. For the cake itself, you'll also need 220 grams of butter, 220 grams of dark muscovado sugar, 3 eggs, 220 grams of plain flour, 110 grams of self-raising flour, half a tablespoon of mixed spice, a teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 tablespoon of black treacle, 1 tablespoon of gravy browning, 5 dashes of Angostura bitters, and some extra sherry or rum to top off the cake. And to decorate, we're going to use some golden syrup, marzipan, and fondant icing. You can't celebrate Christmas without a Christmas cake, and at this time of year there is only one type of cake that I make, and that is a traditional Caribbean Christmas cake, also known as black cake, or today we're going to call it serious black cake. Now this is an incredible twist on the Christmas cake, very, very different to the one you might have tried before, so if you're not a fan, definitely give this one a go. What we do is soak the fruits in rum and sherry, and it's going to absorb all of that flavour, and then we're going to use them to bake into the cake with all the alcohol. So then afterwards you don't have to spend as much time feeding the cake, which means it's fresher and tastes so much better. This recipe actually came from my grandma via my auntie, and I've tweaked it over the years to find the perfect recipe, and I'm sharing it with you. To begin, we're going to soak our fruits, so all you need to do is take your dried mixed fruits and pop them into a jar. I'm also chopping up some glacé cherries and adding them in too. Then you want to cover all the fruits with your alcohol, and I've gone for a 50-50 split of spiced rum and sherry. Fill this up right to the top, and if any of the fruits are poking through the surface of the rum, then push them back down. Seal the lid and then place this in a cool, dry place to mature. Now, because we want to seal as much flavour into this cake as possible, we want to leave them soaking in the alcohol for as long as possible. Now don't worry about them going off, the alcohol will actually help preserve the fruits, so you can leave them for months and months on end. I typically go for about a month and a half, but the longer you can leave it, the more merry your Christmas is going to be. Once they're soaked and ready to bake, all you need to do is remove your fruits from the jar and place them into a food processor. Give them a blitz on the pulse setting, but don't let it blend too long. You want this to be smooth, but still have some consistency to it. Once the fruit's ready, you can move on to making the cake batter, and for this we're going to cream our butter and sugar together until it's lovely, light and fluffy. While that's whisking away, you can crack your eggs and whisk them together until they're nice and well combined. Slowly add your eggs into your butter and sugar, and you can also add in your self-raising flour at this point to prevent it from curdling. Once all your eggs are incorporated, you want to scrape down the sides, and then we're going to add in our flour and our fruits in small batches, again, just to make sure it doesn't curdle. Keep on alternating until all your fruit is combined. This is the base of the cake mixture done, but of course it's Caribbean Christmas cake, so we need to spice it up. Add in your mixed spice, nutmeg, treacle, gravy browning and Angostura bitters, and then mix it through. It's this combination of dark flavourings, treacles and brownings that give it its signature name, black cake. Now, because of the high ratio of fruit and alcohol in this cake, we're gonna bake it low and slow to keep all of that moisture inside. So I've got 2 tips for you. The first is to double line your baking tins. This means rather than just lining it once with your baking paper, fold it and make sure you double line it. This is gonna make sure it doesn't burn and it doesn't stick, but also keeps all of that flavor and that moisture inside the cake. And the second tip for you is when you pop it in the oven, add in a tray of hot water. This is going to create lots of steam, which we're going to trap inside the oven and keep your cake nice and light, fluffy and moist. Trace around your baking tins and then grease and line them with your baking paper. We're then going to add in our cake batter, and bear in mind that it doesn't rise too much, so feel free to bring it quite high. Level this off and then pop it into the oven at 150 degrees Celsius for 2 hours. Once the cake is cooked, a lovely smell will fill your kitchen. You want to remove it from the oven and then, working as quickly as possible, pierce holes into the top and then feed the cake while it's still hot with some extra sherry and rum. You should hear it sizzle as the alcohol hits the surface of the cake. Allow it to soak in so your cake absorbs all of the flavour. So there you go, that is how you make a Caribbean Christmas cake. And because it's my Harry Potter kitchen, we need to take the decoration to the next level. So our Seriously Black Christmas cake is going to be inspired by Hogwarts. And I'm going to show you how you can do a really cool effect with marzipan and fondant icing to give you a Hogwarts silhouette on top of your cake. Once your cake is nice and cool, you want to take a serrated knife and level off the top. Then flip the cake over so you get a nice flat surface. To help the marzipan stick, you can either use hot apricot jam or golden syrup with some hot water in it to thin it down. Brush this along the sides of the cake, but leave the top empty as we're going to need to peel off the marzipan later. Spread some icing sugar onto your worktop and then roll out your marzipan to about 1/2 centimetre thick. You then want to layer this over the top of the cake and smooth it down the top and the sides. Trim off any excess and then neaten up the edges. Allow this to firm up for about 1/2 hour and then we're going to repeat the process with our white fondant icing. Roll this out to 1/2 centimetre thick as well and then place it over the top of the marzipan, but try not to press down the top too much, just focus on the sides. For our Hogwarts silhouette effect, the first step is to remove a circle of the white fondant icing. To take a circle, I've used the bottom of a smaller baking tin, trace around it and then carefully peel away your white fondant icing. The marzipan layer is going to be our Hogwarts detail, so I've taken some baking paper and then drawn out the Hogwarts silhouette and then cut around it. Place your stencil over the marzipan and then carefully trace your way around it. You then want to remove the excess marzipan from the top to reveal your castle. Now it might look slightly rough depending on how smooth you cut it, so take some fondant tools and then work your way around to neaten it up. We're almost done, but the last step is to remove any excess icing sugar, so I'm just going to take some water on the end of my brush and dust it off. And then to help our black cake shine a little bit more, I've also taken some more golden syrup and then dabbed it over the top of the cake. Pop this onto your serving dish, and if you want to go one step further, you can also take some of these silver beads and place them around the edge of the cake. And we're done! Christmas at Hogwarts is in full swing, and it's a cake! So there you have it, a Christmassy Caribbean inspired recipe with a sprinkling of Hogwarts magic. Now that is actually the last Christmassy food recipe from the Philosopher's Stone, so seeing as the festivities are over, we have to say goodbye to my wonderful Christmas hat. And oh yeah, forgot to mention I lost my hair in the Forbidden Forest. What do you think? That is all for this video. If you want to see more from my Harry Potter kitchen, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there's a brand new recipe. That's all for this week, but I'll see you next time.